Welcome to Scoop World Order Team of Destiny edition. We've got a huge 2-week stretch right here. We got Western Kentucky, then we head into South Bend. The team is 2-0. They're starting to click. The offensive line actually played very well this past week, so we got a lot of good stuff going on. Obviously, the defense has been absolutely fantastic. 5 points a game, suffocating. So a lot of good mojo going right now on the D-line. A lot of good stuff going on the O-line. Kyle McCord, is he the guy? No. We have a lot of questions to answer. I think Ryan Day is getting close to naming Kyle McCord the starting quarterback. I think that everybody with eyeballs sees that he's the guy. He's the guy that Ryan prefers. And he really played well. He was ripping some throws. So we're going to break some of those down for you as we get into the game. And we break down some of the Youngstown State footage from this past game. But as always, we appreciate you guys so much for tuning in. Again, our game threads on BuckeyeScoop.com are crazy. If you guys are not members of BuckeyeScoop.com, I don't know what you're doing. I mean, our NFL thread was huge today. All of our stuff going on with Ohio State, just crazy. Again, a lot of people up, down, whatever. We are extremely excited about the season. We think we have a lot of upside. Again, folks, we lived through the O2 season where I was a senior getting recruited, committed to Ohio State, went to every game. It wasn't pretty, but it ended up being maybe the greatest season in Ohio State history, 14-0, national championship win over the Miami Hurricanes, first win in, I don't know, 30-ish years since like the 70s. So again, it's not all some straight line juggernaut monster thing. It all comes down to who stays healthy, who gets hot, and who's playing the best in January. That's what matters. That's what happened in 2014. Again, in 2014, Navy game, nobody was feeling too hot. Virginia Tech game, massacre, don't feel too hot. Then all of a sudden, we caught fire, beat Michigan. Cardell comes in, plays fantastic against Wisconsin, Bama, Oregon. We win the Natty. Again, is this the type of team that this is? Is this a team of destiny? We're going to get into that in a second. We appreciate all you guys. Enjoy this content. Click like. Also, click subscribe. Click that little alert bell. Let us know that you guys are tuning in. We appreciate all of our regulars in here, as always. Brass Tax Sue, we see all you guys in here, as always, bringing the heat. And let me know where you're watching from. Shout out where you guys are watching from. And who are your MVPs through the first 2 weeks of the season? Put those down in the comments. Love reading who you guys think is excelling and who needs to step it up. With that being said, I'm going to bring in my good friend, Nevadabuck. Nevadabuck, go Pack, go. They whooped the Bears today. The Jordan Love era is here. We're not going to get into that too much on an Ohio State podcast, but I know that you're thrilled that the Packers were not trash, and they got a huge win in a game that they were underdogs in. How are you feeling today, my man?
Well, between that and the Browns whipping up at the Bengals, man, like what a great day. This is like best day ever. And between all that, I had a chance to watch one of my kids play, and then I watched the Ohio State game 3 times. So
Oh my God.
I've had the benefit of being able to run stuff back, getting more familiar with stuff. And let me tell you, Matt Jones played a heck of a game. Matt Jones he played really well. Donovan Jackson played really well. Now, we were on those two guys last week saying, man, Donnie Jackson and Matt Jones need to be better. Well, they were better. They were a lot better. And I thought the offensive line took a step forward. I thought the whole team took a step forward. I was really, with every watching of the tape, I'm more impressed with it. And I think Ohio State took a really nice, clear step forward and did some really good things, and really excited to talk about it.
Yeah, I am too. I thought that we were, I think we were fair with the interior line. Again, I hate bashing the offensive line. I have actually been one of the offensive linemen that started and played at Ohio State who has been bashed. So I've lived that lifestyle. So, you always take notes mentally of who's crushing you. And so I try to be very fair with these guys. Again, our 2 guards knew they had to play better. There are 2 stalwarts. So the guys that played last year, Matt Jones, 6-year guy. I mean, Matt Jones played a lot of football. Donnie Jackson's projected first-round pick. Didn't play like it week 1. Played very much like it in week 2. I like the momentum here. I think a lot of people are counting us out. I think that, as these guys progress, I think Kyle McCord was ripping some throws and was playing really, really well in the game on Saturday. I was at the game. He threw some throws where I frankly thought he crushed it. I thought he was just neat, just absolute nails, throwing some of these third down throws. So we're going to get into that on the film. But, we've got guys that are competing to do well. We've got some guys that are playing for their NFL futures in terms of being 3-and-out type guys, or Matt Jones, who's a 6-year guy who's trying to get drafted, probably a mid-late round guy, probably more of a late round guy. Donnie, potentially first round, second round pick. I mean, there's a lot at stake right now. And I'm telling you, whatever motivates these guys, I'm good with it because we get to reap the benefits of it as Ohio State fans. So we are actually going to get right into the film room. This was a huge throw by Kyle McCord. Again, I was at the game watching it. Again, you see it's 3rd and 9, so it's not ideal. Kyle McCord, again, protection is fantastic. We pick up the blitz. Everybody's nice clean pocket. Great job by our guys. Nice cut for Kyle. Steps into it, rips it. And again, this is a rope to Marvin. And credit to Youngstown State, because again, I was kind of low-key hoping Youngstown would keep it not super close, but not 88-0 or whatever, because Truss is in the building. But he rips this throw to Marvin on a 3rd and 9. And again, that coverage is the same coverage you'd get against Georgia, Bama, whoever. I mean, he's all over him, draped on him. He's not running free. Marvin comes down with it. Again, a throw like that, Nevada, is an NFL throw. That is a throw that, when you need it the most against the best teams in the world with the best type of coverage, right on you, like white on rice, and he rips it. Marvin completes it. That chemistry is there. It's very evident all the way back to high school. Very well documented. What is your thought when you see Kyle rip a throw like this? I watched that. I was like, wow. I was literally in the stadium, 3rd and 9. And I was like, man, better try to, get our guys in space, give them a little bit of room. Let's see if they can break something. And he rips that throw. And I was like, man, Marvin's covered. And he rips it. And Marvin snags it, comes down with it, converts to the 3rd and 9. What are your thoughts when you see a throw like that?
Well, first of all, let me say something, and I haven't heard people talking about this, but I think this is a really important point to make. I know people want to denigrate Youngstown State and stuff, but these guys are on scholarship too, okay? 79 kids on the roster from Ohio kids. This is the biggest game. For many of them, it's the biggest game of their career in college, playing in the stadium against Ohio State. It's also the only game for a lot of them that's ever going to be evaluated on tape, that they know that they're ever going to be seen by every NFL scout in the world is watching the tape of these games and are looking at trying to jump out and and make an impact. And so when you see us do good things about Youngstown State, man, I'm telling you, Youngstown State was playing it. They were bringing it, and they were doing and they weren't trash. They weren't a bad team. They're a top 25 team in 1AA, and they, those kids were balling. So that's the first thing that I want to say. Secondly, Kyle made a lot of throws on Saturday that I wasn't sure that he was capable of making. And he stepped in that one, like you said, the offensive line gave him a nice pocket. He stepped in that, made a nice throw on that. We're going to break down one on the top of the field later on. I think is equally as good. But that's the kind of stuff that you really need to see from our quarterback at Ohio State this year. Can we be a team of destiny? Well, the only way we're going to be a team of destiny is if the quarterback can deliver some of those shots like that, keep the field, stretch, keep the box from kind of compressing, and keep us moving on down there. And Kyle showed me something. And that, I've always said practice is not games and games is not practice. So you got to be able to do it when the lights are shining. And he was able to do it. Was he perfect? No, but he was really good. And like I said, I know it was Youngstown State, but that Youngstown State team was playing hard, and that's a better team than people think. And I thought it was a really good step forward for Kyle, and I was really pleased to see it.
And again, people might laugh or say whatever, but I'm telling you, like Derek Rivers is a guy that Youngstown State guy, maybe a 3rd or 4th round pick, Baltimore Ravens. He's been in the league for like 7 or 8 years in the NFL. They get some guys that are really good, and I'm just telling you, I've lived it. When you play teams like this is their absolute Super Bowl. This is their national championship game against Georgia in Vegas or wherever the national championship game is. And these teams play really hard. These players that are all here, they all want to make a point and say, I should be at Ohio State. I'm better than Ohio State. I should be at a top 10-ish type school instead of a 1AA school. So these kids, I've played in these games. These kids play exceptionally hard because, again, they all want to go to the league. They all want to go to the NFL. So what do? They know that, well, the one tape, if you're an NFL area scout, regional scout, general manager, whoever that's evaluating these guys' prospects, what's the one game they're going to watch? Let's put on the tape against Ohio State. So these kids play exceptionally hard. I thought they played really hard. Again, they were outgunned, outmanned, but, we play, I don't like playing teams like this. And again, everyone's 77-0. They want to see these big blowouts, but these kids are playing for their careers. Marcus Hooker, who was the leading tackler, had 7 or 8 tackles. He's an Ohio State kid, transferred out, started at Youngstown State, had a great game. Obviously a lot of tape. I don't think he's an NFL guy, but he left it all on the field, and that's how these D linemen play. That's how these corners play. And again, you just saw the coverage. You were watching the tape. Like, Georgia's guy couldn't have covered Marvin any better. The guy was literally right on him, and Marvin still made the catch, and Kyle ripped a throw. So there's a lot of things that you have to evaluate, because it's not like Marvin had 5 yards of separation there. This is like literally, if a Georgia guy's covered him, it's probably the same separation, about a yard. So we're gonna go right to the next play. And again, Kyle was on one. I'm telling you, we're in the double tights here. Ryan is loving the double tights this year. So you got Joe Royer, you got G, and again, I love G because he's got the that's that's G. So these guys are releasing upfield, and you've got Marvin again, an out cut separation here, which is great. It's fantastic. And Kyle just rips it. This is an NFL throw. This is an out cut. These are exceptionally hard to defend. This is like Kirk Cousins, Justin Jefferson on Sunday. You got the separation. Again, when Marvin's running an out cut, when an elite receiver is running that cut against you, that is a tough throw to stop, especially when the quarterback's lacing it in there. There's just not a lot of room. You got to respect the deep ball, because Marvin, obviously, he took 2 to the crib already at this point in the game, second quarter. He already had 130 or 40 yards of receiving. And then all of a sudden, when you're worried about him going over the top on you, he gets this out cut, and you're going to give him a little bit of space. And, Kyle, he put it right on the money, right before he got out of bounds. Marvin snags it. Again, that is, when you've got that work ethic and you're working late night at the Woody Hayes Athletic Center and you're on the Monarch machine and you're saying, hey, Kyle, come in and throw me, let's go get 100 catches before we go to bed. Let's go in at 9 o'clock and stay till 11 and just rip that chemistry and, get that timing down. That's off-season work. Again, that doesn't happen by some cosmic accident. It's not Madden. It's not NCAA 14 where, you just hit the button and you hold it down hard and he guns it in there. Like, you got to have like guys that are doing this in the offseason. And again, the chemistry with Kyle and Marvin is so apparent that I think that's a huge leg up for Kyle. And I think that's why he's going to be, the starter going forward. I think that, obviously the Devin Brown thing was fun. But, as we get into the nitty gritty, like, I think Western Kentucky, who they beat South Florida, they can throw the ball a lot. I don't think they're great on defense. I don't think they can stop the run. But they can throw the ball. You're going to have to score some points and throw to beat these guys. But your thoughts on that throw, Nevada?
It's my favorite throw of the game. That was my favorite throw of the game. I think that showed everything that we need Kyle to be doing. And, as you mentioned, he's got that chemistry with our number one receiver, who's probably, is the number one receiver in college football. That's a big thing. I'm not where you're at, and that's okay, that the Devin Brown experiment is over or anything like that. I think Devin Brown, that was his first time ever playing in the shoe. I know he can be better. I think he will be better. I'm sure he'll be better. But, in terms of discussing it for this week, for 2 weeks from now, or for the short term, it's definitely Kyle McCord. You've got to ride him. He's the veteran guy, a guy that's having the benefit of having been here an extra year, which is absolutely humongous. And he's making the steps that we want to see him make. This is what we wanted to see him do. We wanted to see him come out against Indiana and be good enough, and then we wanted to see him get better against Youngstown State. And then this week, we want to see him get better against Western Kentucky. And if he continues on that trajectory, I really like our chances in South Bend. I really like our chances against anybody, because I think this is a defense that's only going to get better. I think it's an offensive line that's only going to get better with cohesion. Our running backs are so deep and so talented. If we can answer the question at quarterback, and I think we're seeing a big part of the answer, I think the sky's the limit for the team, and I think we can beat anybody.
I agree. I think that, I think part of the problem with the team right now is that they haven't played a matchup game. They're playing teams that they just know that they're physically better than Indiana, Youngstown State. Again, I've lived it. I've played Indiana before. I've played Youngstown State before. You don't get the same juice flowing as if you're playing Notre Dame. Like, I played Notre Dame before. Like, that's like, if you want an expert on the topic, talk to this guy. '06, we played Notre Dame, we played Indiana, beat them 44-6 at home, beat the crap out of them. They're terrible. '05, we obviously played the Notre Dame game, the AJ Hawk, Laura Quinn, Brady Quinn game. There's a different level of concentration and juice and physicality and point proving. And, again, like, when you grow up and you have friends that are Notre Dame fans, you know that if you lose to Notre Dame, you'll never hear the end of it. There's nobody that's an Indiana fan. There's not a ton of people that are giant Youngstown State fans. Again, Youngstown State is a fantastic program. Obviously, Jim Tressel is like a father figure to me. But that being said, most Youngstown State fans are Ohio State fans. Most Youngstown State football games are scheduled where they're off schedule with an Ohio State game. If Ohio State's scheduled like a noon game, Youngstown State's going to try to play at 3:30. Or if Ohio State's playing at 3:30, they're going to try to go at noon. They're not going to try to go against an Ohio State game because 99% of Youngstown State football fans are also Ohio State fans. And if they've got, if there's a conflict, they're going to go to the Ohio State game or they're going to watch the Ohio State game. So Youngstown State knows that. They know where they're in the pecking order. But again, these kids are playing hard. I'm going to go to third play. This is third play in a row. This is great. Tempo offense. I love this. This is a 2nd and 1. Again, I think anytime you're in short yardage, you go auto tempo, double. I think we got I think that's G right there. So we're throwing our 2 tight ends. The benefit of G Scott is the kid who's actually coming on strong right now, is that you can split him out in the slot, just like he was a wide receiver when he was in high school. Came in as a wide receiver. Got Joe Royer here. Again, one thing I wish that we did more of, they got the edge blitz coming, the pressure's coming off the edge. We're just running a simple, this is literally this is 13 Buck. I know the name of the play. We're handing it off here. He's kind of fake reading the edge guy. I think that a benefit to Devin Brown, because Devin Brown is more athletic, because again, it's not me that decides that, it's Ryan Dix. When you watch Devin Brown get in the game, they call quarterback designed runs. They don't do that with Kyle McCord. So something that would be a benefit if you had Kyle pull this is I think we get more. Now, granted, Mayan, Meatball, Chop, whatever his nickname is, Pablo, he gets a nice run. We convert here. But again, if you have Devin in, I mean, with this guy crashing down, this is a pull read. So if you're pulling off this edge, and his shoulders are squared, and you got a guy who can get to this edge, I mean, this could be 20 yards. But again, I'm not trying to split hairs. Again, Chop does a great job here. O-line does fantastic. Again, we are as multiple tight end wise as I think I've seen since the Tressel days. Again, we had Urban, who was never a 2 tight end guy. Ryan likes 2 tight ends. We were going 2 and 3 tight ends at some points. And I think the benefit to having G Scott in the game is the fact that he can actually go and line up in the slot and not be a total liability, because he came in as a receiver. He knows kind of the little nuances to playing receiver enough to be dangerous. And frankly, he's a bigger body now. So when you put him in the slot, he can be devastating versus a nickel back. And that's something people don't realize is like, when you get that 2 tight end deal in and you've got athletic guys you can put in the slot like Cade Stover or Guy Scott, all of a sudden, man, you got a nickel against a 245-pound guy, and the nickel is about $180. I mean, that could be a huge matchup advantage for us in the slot. Nevada, what do you think of our tempo? What are the benefits of tempo? I love tempo more than anything in the world. Again, as much as people want to crap on Tom Herman, when I worked for him for a year, when it was 2nd and short, 3rd and short, we were going right to the line. We were going straight tempo offense, hurry up before they can get lined up, run the ball. We're coming off double teaming, and we converted at an astronomically high rate, probably in the 80s on 3rd down, 3rd and short, just because of the tempo. Because again, you run it, they're not even lined up. They can't get a call in. They're confused, they're frustrated, and you take advantage of that. I remember 2012 at Penn State, we tempoed those guys to death, and they had a great defensive tackle, and he was standing up with his hands on his hips, trying to get subbed out, and we just absolutely buzzsawed him with Norwell and Lindsley on double teams when he wanted nothing to do with it. But what are your thoughts on a tempo offense?
Well, look, I think it fits Kyle McCord's eye. And if you watch Kyle, most of his reads this week were his primary read. It was his first guy that he was looking at. And I think with tempo, it gives him the ability to kind of make his read, make his call, go to his primary guy, and then let a rip tater chip. And I think that's good for his offense. And that's not a rip on Kyle. That's just an observation of where he is in his development as a quarterback right now. So I think tempo really helps. I think tempo is easy mode for Kyle McCord. And I think for Ohio State, I think they should go fast all the time. I don't think it should be a gimmick. I think it should be a feature. And like I said, I think Kyle would like it as well because I think it just gives him an inherent advantage where he's got these. You've got matchup advantages all over the field with your physical guys against their guys. It's just a question of identifying it and then going to it. And I think tempo allows Kyle to do that, and that's why I like to see him use it more.
I totally agree. I think it's something that it's a massive advantage for the offense. Again, especially when you've got, this two tight end set that we're showing a lot on film. When you got guys that are athletic enough to play slot, like Gee Scott and like Cade, Joe Royer, it makes it really dangerous to line up in nickel. Because I'm telling you, that nickel back's going to go get blocked by Cade Stover, and Cade's going to whoop that guy every time. Even Gee, who's up to 240, it's you're going against a guy who's 50 pounds lighter than you. You're just as athletic. You run a stretch play out there. It can be treacherous, so how do you match up to it? Because again, if you don't change personnel, you don't get an if the offense doesn't change personnel, you can't sub on defense. If they change personnel, then the referee stands over the ball, slows the game down, make sure the defense has a chance to match personnel. But again, I think Ryan showed a lot of this two tight end stuff because he's getting Notre Dame all primed up because, hey, we're going to tempo you guys to death once we get out to South Bend. And again, I think it's a huge advantage when you have guys that are in sync, when you have great receivers, when you have guys that are very multiple in terms of what they can do at tight end, and you can put them in the slot. It's a different animal, man. It's really tough to deal with. Phil, appreciate your super chat, my man. I'm not sure if you have a question on here. If you do, put it in the chat. We'll get it done. We have another super chat we're going to knock out real quick. I like this, P. Berry. It's a small sample. I'm concerned about play calling. I'm not. I assume you mean offensively. I think offensively our play calling has been really good. I think that we've got a lot of weapons. I think that the hardest part for Ryan Day, frankly, is to feed all of the mouths right now. You got a lot of people that, if you have 60 plays and you go on your little tick sheet, like Urban always had a little tick sheet where it's okay, how many, Marvin needs 10 targets. Emeka needs 8 targets. Trey Henderson needs 15 touches or whatever. And Mayan needs 7 touches. And then Chip needs 5 touches. And then Cade needs 5 touches. By the time you're doling out your touches and trying to design plays for guys, and again, every time you design a play for a guy and you target a guy, doesn't necessarily mean he's going to get the ball. If the coverage is wrong, if he's getting doubled, Kyle might go elsewhere to somewhere where there's some more free access, and he might not get that touch. So, it's like Cade Stover had the game of his life against Indiana. He had 6 or 7 or 8 catches, whatever he had. And then past week, I don't know if he had 1. Maybe he had 1. I don't think he had any. And so again, it kind of goes to wherever the coverage dictates. It kind of goes to who's the defense taking away. Because if someone's double teaming Marvin, they're putting their best corner and then a safety over top of him. You got to go feed Emeka. You got to go feed Cade. Whoever they take away, the other guys get to eat. So sometimes when you're a guy like Marvin, you attract all the attention, so you don't get to eat as much. Now this past week, obviously, he had a massive game. Kind of that game that you expect, the 160-ish, 70-ish type yards, multiple deep touchdowns, 2 touchdowns on the day. But the week before, people were like, well, he only had. Him and Emeka had 34 yards. It's like, well, yeah, that's all they took away. And so then Cade got to eat, and everybody else, the guys in the backfield got to eat. Nevada, your thoughts on the play calling? Because I think it's been pretty good through 2 weeks.
I thought it was okay the first week, and I thought it was better the second week. And I think there's, I'm not a big proponent of the, hey, we're saving this, we're purposely going vanilla types of discussions. But clearly, we're building towards the Notre Dame game. But clearly, we're building towards the second half of the season. You look at, we don't have to break the play down. We did this last night on Trey Henderson's big run, but where we're, with the pulling offensive lineman, pulling them left, then going back right with it. I mean, we did that exactly one time in the game, and it worked for a touchdown. You know what I'm saying? We're clearly not showing everything that we have, and I like the build. I think this is a logical build. I'm starting to see some sort of semblance of offensive coherence for what are we? What are we offensively? They're loving those two tight end sets, but like I said, I like it when they can flex the guys out, when they can spread them out, and give those multiple looks. I don't like them as much when they drag everybody into the box and they kind of point to where we're running, and then they run it into that. Not a fan of that. I think we did that less this week, and I think the results were pretty apparent. So no, I think we're better. And still, would I like to see an offensive coordinator up in the booth? I would. I think that's for me, it's a mistake that we don't have that. I think that to have your three primary minds on the offensive side, namely Ryan Day, Brian Hartline, and Justin Fry, all on the sideline and not in the booth, is an error. And I hope it doesn't come back to bite us. I hope that they can navigate around it. But I wish that they had one of those guys as an eye in the sky. I think that would make a lot more sense to me. But yeah, that we are where we are.
Yeah, I'd probably put Brian up there just so he could have, you got a guy who's like got the big title. He's the offensive coordinator. Put him so he gets direct contact with Ryan. I think you bring Keenan Bailey down. Keenan Bailey has worked with the receivers. He knows the receivers. He knows how to adjust with the receivers. They trust him. He's a bright football mind. I think that, having a guy like, again, in the past, last few years, we've had Kevin Wilson up there. Kevin Wilson, again, before he ever knew Ryan Day existed, was coaching Oklahoma, calling the plays versus Urban in the 2008 national championship game. Long, illustrious career, huge background with Randy Walker. Randy Walker and Kevin Wilson taught Urban Meyer how to run the spread offense, the power spread. So, there's a lot of history there. And frankly, I think that our staff is good, but I think we're missing Kevin Wilson. I think Kevin's a huge asset. Obviously, he's a head coach, took a great opportunity. But, again, when you have that older guy who's been around different programs, he's with Bob Stoops for a long time, he's at Indiana as a head coach. Indiana was notoriously difficult for us when he was there as a head coach because, again, he could get it out of guys. He could get guys that weren't as good to play great, and they shredded us. I mean, in 2012, man, we were out there. We beat them 52-49. The mighty Buckeyes, who went undefeated in 2012, barely beat the Hoosiers because Kevin had us schemed up. Kevin was really good at what he did and shredded us, and I always had so much respect. I always have respect for these coaches that they get the most out of what they have and they get their guys to play hard and play up to their opponent and frankly beat teams that they have no business beating. And that night they almost beat us, which is crazy. Philip, I'm going to bring you back in here. I appreciate you, my man. Another super chat. I said, no, check down Charlie this week. Love you guys. Appreciate you so much, man. Appreciate all you guys' support. Super chats always get answered, FYI. If you guys have a question you're dying to know, a super chat, dial it up. We'll get it answered right away. But appreciate you, Philip, as always, for your support. I'm going to throw in one more McCord rip right here. Again, this is what we need. This is Emeka. Emeka is the second best receiver in the country right now. Little short outcut right here. Again, he brings a different level of ability right here. He runs a little stutter in. And again, if you're this guy, if you're this safety, and Kyle's ripping it, because Kyle's already going. Like as soon as he comes out of this break, Kyle's got it ready. Like right here. He breaks it. Kyle's cocked, is coming, and he laces it. Perfect throw. Impossible to defend. Again, it was an offsides penalty on Youngstown State. But again, that is what I want to see. Again, like Kyle is a good quarterback. He's not great. He's got the ability to be great. But when you have Emeka and Marvin, you don't have to be great. You just have to lace it and know these guys inside out. And again, he's growing as before our eyes. But man, your life's easy, man. When you got Emeka and Marvin, man, these guys they're pros. They're going to be longtime NFL guys. They'll be probably top 10 picks. I mean, I think Marvin will probably go top 5. Emeka will probably go top 10. They'll both run well. Again, they're students of the game. They're guys that grind. They're tough. They want to be great. So, when you get those guys, man, your life's a lot easier than when you're thrown to lesser receivers. Nevada, your thought? We just showed 3 rips by Kyle McCord, really throwing NFL style balls. Your thoughts on his progression from week 1 to week 2, and what are we expecting week 3 as we see Western Kentucky in the shoe?
Well, I can tell you, first of all, Western Kentucky is going to be a ball game. It's going to be a ball game. It's going to be a better game. Like, buckle up for this one because this one's going to be, they're not bad. I watched the game against South Florida. They're not bad, and I think for Ohio State fans, you're going to have to be ready for this one because this is not a Youngstown State type of sleeper type of game. This is going to be a good one, and I know I'm looking forward to it. That's one. Secondly, as great as those throws are, and those throws are great, I want to see Ohio State start mixing in some of the easy throws. Like I don't want to talk too much about the Packers game today, but the Packers probably threw 6 or 7 screen passes today, and it's just so easy. I mean, you're talking about a 3-yard little push out to the right, and just go. It's just so effective. And Ohio State, it's like not every throw needs to be a 15-yard dig into Marvin Harrison with a guy hanging on his back. And so let's give him some of the easy throws to mix in with some of these harder throws where he can make. Because, Kyle's going out there, and I just feel like sometimes we're doing it the hardest way. I wish that we would mix in some of the easier stuff. And also, I mean, not that Trey needs to have this, but every time you get the guy to the ball in space, he's a threat to take it the whole way. I don't know when we're going to unleash the screen pass / swing pass game. I know we practice it. I know we've shown it. I know we've used it at select times in the past. I'd love to see more of that going forward because as good as Kyle is on making those hard throws, let's give Kyle some easy ones to kind of mix in there and make the OSU offense just that much more diverse and that much more dangerous.
I agree. So we're going to go right to the tape. This is the last one I'm going to break down, but this is the definition of a great throw. So first down, we ran it. So 2nd and 11, we lost one. We ran a little orbit motion, got tackled. So as soon as we lose one, we go tempo right here. This is my favorite protection in all of football. It's called 495. You got your end on the back. You got your everyone's pushing this way. These guys are waterfall techniquing back, which is where they basically backpedal back. So you have an edge guy, you're protecting both tackles, and it's basically a one-man route. So you got a bunch of receivers running routes that, he's not in it, he's not in it. It's Marvin outcut, Chip is sealing the edge. You got your backside tight end here. These guys are waterfalling. Again, this is my favorite protection in the world. This is an Urban Meyer protection all day. Sprint out, chuck it, Marvin, go get 9 yards. I mean, that is, that was hurry up. Again, the beauty of the hurry up is, again, as we're snapping the ball, these guys aren't even lined. They're not ready for it. Like, he's not even in a stance. They're not even lined up yet. Hurry up, sprint it out, chuck it, free money. Again, that's my favorite protection in football. You can't do it every single snap, but it's something when you do it, it's free money. I mean, you got to go, we lost a yard. We said, hurry, hurry, hurry. Jet, we do this little jet. That's like a little jet signal. And, they just sprint out, rip it to Marvin or Emeka. You get 9 yards, easy peasy, little outcut. And again, with Urban, man, that was like one of our favorite protections because nobody really has to block. I mean, everybody's like, the defensive tackle is not even in his stance yet. And you sprint out and, you just basically, you steal 9 yards. So then all of a sudden you're looking at 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, instead of it being 3rd and long. And that changes everything. It opens the whole playbook up. And again, I love that concept. I'm the biggest fan of tempo in the world. As long as you use it correctly, you can't do it the whole game. But, when you use it at the right points, man, it's like a change up. It just catches defenses off guard. And all of a sudden they can't manage it. And, again, you have to remember, the psychology of defensive players, especially defensive linemen, is they're used to rotating. They're used to running 8 guys through. The D tackles come in after every 2 or 3 plays. The DNs come after 2 or 3 plays. You bring in your situational pass rush guys. So, when they don't get to do that, they die on the vine. Because, the big benefit to playing offensive line is you don't have to chase the ball. When you're a D lineman, you got to run to the ball. So these guys get tired fast, especially in the hot days on field turf. So, when all of a sudden they can't swap out and they get gassed, man, and they're standing up tall and high and hands on the hips and, hands on the knees, I mean, they're dead. So I love when Ryan does that. Again, that's something that, against Notre Dame, when it gets a little hairy, you're in that little 495 sprint out to Marvin. I mean, it's free money. So, well, to that, let's wrap this thing up. Again, this has been a fantastic show. A lot of film to break down. But what are your thoughts going into Western Kentucky week? Does Ryan Day name a starter? Is it still rotate? What do you project the rotation to be? And what are your thoughts heading into Western Kentucky?
I think it's like 80-90% Kyle this week against Western Kentucky. The objective's got to be get your quarterback as ready, as much as humanly possible, for Notre Dame. The only difference being that when Devin does come in there, that you give him real reps, so it's not just like kneel down or handoff stuff. So they'll keep it going even at the end, even if it's a head or whatever it is. But no, it's going to be a great challenge. It's just going to be interesting to see what the next evolution of the OSU offense is. It's been interesting how we've kind of abandoned those wide receiver screens that have been kind of a staple of the offense for the last few years, and much to a lot of people's chagrin. We've been kind of going to these out cuts more and more of kind of a pro style type of approach with these great wide receivers that can get that one-on-one action and, as you said, take those easy yards. So no, it's going to be just fun to see what we do this week, what we unveil, because I think we're not going to show too much to Notre Dame, but we want to put enough out there so that they have to think about stuff and they have to prepare for it, and that probably includes a Devin Brown running quarterback package as well. So. Lots to look forward to this week. The great thing about this quarterback derby is that every game's taken on an increased viewing interest, and like I said, I can't wait for Saturday to watch Western Kentucky. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I agree. I think that it's kind of a detriment to Devin that every time he comes in, they try to force a quarterback run. I think it's something that's great to put on tape, but if he goes to the game against Notre Dame, they're going to be screaming out quarterback run, quarterback counter, quarterback, zone read. He might actually pull the game. They'll have it scouted out, but I love the ability to run the quarterback. But Devin, as much as it feels like he might have lost his competition, this dude has to stay ready, man. And we saw Jack Conklin for the right tackle for the Browns went down today, likely out for the season. Guess what? Our boy Big Thanos DeJuan is now the starting right tackle for the Browns. So. You're one in football, you're always one play away from being that dude, being that guy. So he's got to stay locked in. Again, Kyle, I feel like he's cinched the job, but you got to stay locked in. And Devin's got a different skill set. I know people think he's not a great athlete, but there's a reason why Ryan Day only calls design quarterback runs for Devin. He doesn't ever do that for Kyle. It's because he's a better athlete. So again, I think it's going to be really interesting to see how they manage him this week against Western Kentucky. Western Kentucky is going to be a great challenge in terms of their throw game. Again, they beat South Florida. They're 2-0. They throw it all over the lot. They're not great on defense, but I think them throwing it all over the lot is a great preface to what we're going to see against Notre Dame, because obviously they're throwing it all over the lot with what they do. Their quarterback from Wake Forest has been fantastic. So it's going to be really interesting to see what these guys can do. So with that being said, we are going to shut this thing down. Appreciate you guys so much. If you guys aren't on BuckeyeScoop.com, join BuckeyeScoop.com. Our site has been absolutely crazy the last 2 days. A lot of juice, a lot of moving towards Notre Dame. Again, Western Kentucky is going to be a nice home game. Be a good test for our defense, etc. Our pass rushers, again, they got to jack it up a couple levels. It's not for lack of effort. It's not for lack of trying, but we need more production out of those guys. We need more sacks out of our DNs. Again, we watched the Texas-Alabama game. Their DNs were getting home. Our guys have started. They got to start getting home. JT and Jack have got to start pouring it on. Caden Curry, Kenyatta Jackson, kind of breathing right down their necks right now. So I'm really excited to see what these guys can do versus a team that's going to throw it 65 times on Saturday and see if we can get home and get some sacks. Mike Hall bringing the heat. Got a sack this week. A lot of pressure the week before. I think these guys are going to keep matching that intensity. So with that being said, if you guys enjoyed this broadcast, please leave us a like, click subscribe, and also click that little alert bell. And if you really enjoy our content, join BuckeyeScoop.com. I got a couple more people to sign up over the weekend. Mad about the game, talk about what we did, talk about how much of a blast it is, how wild it is on BuckeyeScoop.com. Appreciate all you guys that are part of the Scoop family, already members there, for all you guys do and all the energy you guys bring, because our site is off the chain, is absolutely crazy right now. We appreciate all of it. We are breaking records day over day in traffic due to this Ohio State season. So thank all of you. We appreciate you guys. So I hope you guys have a great rest of your night. Thank you so much, Buckeye Nation. Thank you, Scoop family. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Go Bucks.